Good morning, everyone. Firstly, would like to thank Make UK and InterAct for the opportunity to be here today and talk to you about my view on the future of work. And also would like to thank the IET for being amazing host and giving us a fantastic backdrop for today's discussion. So when InterAct asked me to present, I wasn't sure how I'm going to follow such an esteemed lineup of speakers because I hope I will be able to contribute to the discussion, as I am merely a small manufacturer, an engineer from a small manufacturing business. So I'm also not really used to public speaking, so if I'm reading from my script, please forgive me. So now that I've managed the expectations, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Adrienne Houston. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I work at a company called Eurovacuum Products Limited that I started 15 years ago. So my company was founded on some three very traditional principles. Firstly, is to provide our clients with the best technical solution at the most commercially viable level. Secondly, to create a company culture where everyone feels included, safe and listened to. We know the business case for diversity and inclusive organizations, that they're generally more productive and efficient. So the company manufactures, repairs and services vacuum pumps and air blowers, which means we are always at the arse end of every process. Very traditional industries. We work in food, automotive, wastewater treatment. So today I had the opportunity to put my heels on because generally I'm wearing safety boots and hard hats. Not to break the stereotype of an engineer, but so and thirdly, the business had to give me flexibility at the time because I have two daughters who were very young at the time. So with regards to my leadership style, I soon realized that when we were growing, when the company was growing, we were able to make some very clever and brave decisions. However, as the business grew, what became more apparent is that this type of leadership style, the capability for the organization to grow, was within me, the leader, and not within the organization. So I had to change my leadership style, and because this would have been a single point of failure for my business. So I changed my leadership style and I learned to delegate, which is difficult when it's your baby. So I learned to delegate, and this promoted substantial amount of engagement and probably and led to others further down the organization to take responsibility. Since the pandemic, my leadership style further evolved and changed. I'm more focused on a purpose and an output rather than presenteeism. But I'm glad today I wasn't asked to talk about resilience, because we would be here all day. Because during this time, while I had my business, we had Brexit, so we had to learn about import and export documentations. We had to introduce MTD, making tax digital. We have the IR35 legislation that was brought in, then was taken away. Then we had the furlough scheme of, oh my God, how many percent do I have to declare and not declare? So I'm still waiting for the 7 years to pass for HMRC to come and find some calculation errors. Additionally, this year I was appointed as ethics advisor at a biomedical company, Acunia Limited, which is a personal interest of mine, of being involved in developing technologies to enable inclusive lifelong well-being and healthcare. But to complement my professional work, I'm a keen promoter and champion of women in engineering, and I'm an active volunteer at the Women Engineering Society, where I was the cluster coordinator for the Midlands for over 10 years. During this period, the participation of female engineers grew from 8% to 16%. Now, I can't take all the credit for it, but no doubt we contributed. In 2019, I was appointed by the Royal Academy of Engineering for the role of visiting professor at the School of Engineering, Birmingham University, where my role is to embed equality, diversity and inclusion into the curricula, supporting staff and students alike. This year, for example, we have a campaign focusing on responsible engineering, and I'm also a member of the Industry Advisory Board, where our work focuses on meeting industry demands, include industry trends and requirements. But generally, I'm very hands-on, so you will probably find me in the Formula One student racing team lab, trying to support the students to make their cars, whether it's EV or traditional combustion engine. I support the Royal Academy with other activities, such as being on a judging panel for 2 bursaries. Both of these bursaries, one is Amazon, the Amazon Future Engineering and the Sainsbury's Management Fellowship Programme, which both support underrepresented groups within engineering. Additionally, I'm a visiting design professor at Leicester University, a business mentor at Brunel University, Women in Computing and Engineering, and a business mentor at the Association of Black and Ethnic Minority Engineers. Both of these roles I'm very enthusiastic about. So the reason for my work in higher education is because I care deeply about young people, and I know that what I say has a lasting effect. And also because I experienced discrimination as a female engineer. So from my background as a business leader and as someone who works in higher education, I sit on both sides of the fence in today's discussion, because I have insight into opportunities to use digital technologies in my business, but equally I understand the challenges graduates and the higher education is facing. But I'm no way an expert in these areas, so today this is my view on the future of work. So when I was asked to put this presentation together, I thought I'd start with some statistics. Engineering UK in September published their findings for the key facts and stats about engineering. 6.1 million people work in engineering, which is equal to about 19% of all jobs. But even with the postponement of 2030 date, the sector is predicted to grow, and we will need 500,000 new engineers, or there will be new jobs created in the green economy. So we know we need to encourage young people from all backgrounds to join us in engineering. Investment in gender diversity has been substantial since 2016. However, the investment hasn't taken EDI into account. While it's a good step in the right direction for the increase in gender, it is also highlighting the fact there has been too little diversity in the gender diversity space. Only 11% of engineers are from BAME background. But I have positive feelings from hearing stories about amazing women. Just yesterday I heard Yuande Aquino was appointed as a vice president of IET, which is a huge achievement. But equality, the weight and the burden to improve diversity cannot be the responsibility of women. So to close the gender gap in a meaningful way, women engineers need the support of their male colleagues. Without the support of men, any real progress in this area will be slow, and therefore more allies there are, the bigger and the faster the progress will be. I also recognise that with the drive to diversity, we must not alienate the majority. Engineering has the highest number of male suicide rates, nearly 4 times higher than any other industry. So it is obvious that in order for the minority groups to be understood, we would need to enable the male majority and to understand their own diversity story and what makes them different, and to challenge the expectations of their own gender stereotypes negatively affect them and influencing their workplace culture. And this was the founding of Equal Engineers. We also need to acknowledge the shortage of STEM teachers in schools, particularly in deprived areas. The government has missed the recruitment targets about a third, not just last year, but decades before. The Royal Society of Chemistry predicts that we have tough times ahead in this field. So without addressing the teacher shortages in STEM areas, I cannot see how we're going to meet our targets. Also, I think school needs to adapt. I think with the rapid development of automation and AI, the skills that humans have, such the soft skills, empathy, cooperation, leadership, communication, and emotional intelligence are the skills that we need to think about and to develop these skills within our education and also value them differently. So with students starting this year at university, the Zoomers, we found that they have very little social skills. They took their GCSEs and A-levels in their bedroom. And this is something that we are worried about. Also, the rise of ChatGPT that we heard from previous speakers will tempt many to cut corners, something universities are only just beginning to comprehend. So much of these may breed a growing skepticism about the merits of higher education among parents and young people. So I think skill shortages will continue to rise in the foreseeable future, and many employees are struggling to recruit and retain their staff. But against that backdrop, I actually think the labour market is one where we will see considerably fewer jobs in the future because of the impact of automation and obviously AI. So what do I think are the key influences in the labour market? Peter addressed these influences much better than I am, but I will try to summarize them. Obviously, technology and AI. Demographic, we have an aging population. In my county, which is Worcestershire, we have 1 in 4 people who are going to retire in the next 5 years, and that's a scary number. Geopolitics will have a profound effect. We've seen the effect of the war of Ukraine. But we need to prepare for the jobs of tomorrow. We have to ensure we have the skills that are going to be critical. And I think that this is the area where the UK has fallen short recently, is skills. We hear politicians refrain talking about the importance of skills, but the Learning and Working Institute produces some fascinating reports and has shown that the average business expenditure on training has declined by 28% since 2005. UK business expenditure on training is half of the EU average. So I think this has got to change, and we have to change this very quickly if we're going to be in a position where we have people with skills equipped for the jobs for tomorrow. So do I think we're going to have fewer or more jobs in the future? I think there will be fewer jobs, and we need to start preparing for that. And it is both preparing and mitigate the drivers that will lead to potential for too few jobs, but also ensuring that we have, as we said before, the skills for those jobs to exist. I think the number of jobs in STEM areas and in engineering will continue to rise, as I said earlier. But these sort of jobs can be done from anywhere. And I think one of the trends we'll see is while we see manufacturing coming closer to home and these distant supply chains coming under scrutiny and threat, I think knowledge jobs are the jobs that can be done from anywhere in most cases. I think we will see a number of numbers increasing in education, law and finance and accountancy, but I think there will be fewer jobs for those which are repetitive and routine work. So I think one of the things that we may begin to see, if we are right, is going to be the average hours decreasing, which we already touched on. As a business leader and a company director, I think the burden falls on policymakers, and policymakers need to make sure that organizations are incentivized for the upskilling. Amongst managers, there's quite a lot said about working with AI, and I think that showing managers to understand and how to collaborate and embrace the potential of AI is going to be very important, and I think it will mean changes in management skills which will come to the fore. So I think those in management will need to look carefully at the skills that they have. And also we've seen the potential impact of the metaverse, which is coming to the public consciousness, and it highlights the difference between virtual and hybrid worlds. Also, we must acknowledge the rise of the gig economy and the platform work, which is becoming very prominent, which is shifting the way we find work. I'm personally a big fan of gig platform and gig economy, but the IR35 is not making it very easy for me to employ these people. I hope nobody's here from HMRC or So with this gig economy and gig working platform is great even from the EDI perspective, because somebody with caring responsibilities can work around these flexibly, or a person with neurodivergent individual who is not particularly good with working in teams, but they get a very good job done on their own, in their own time. So for this, legislation has to change, and I think it is changing. France introduced protection and a social charter, and I think Europe is looking at it also. But in the UK, there is no mention of anything except the court case that we heard for the Uber and the delivery drivers. So I also believe encouraging employment and encouraging people to work is a good thing. But we need to embrace automation and AI to remain competitive internationally. As I said, I work with very traditional industries, and last week we had 2 major companies folding, leaders of double glazing doors and windows manufacturer and building pipe product manufacturers, because they simply can't afford to pay their energy bills. So I don't want to put a negative spin on it, but I think we need a level playing field. And one of the things I always think is increasingly untenable is taxing jobs. I have to pay 13% every time I create a job, which is the tax. So when I look at whether to automate a job or to employ somebody to do the job, paying an extra 13% is imbalancing my scales. And whilst we're going to need more than less tax in the future, I'm not sure taxing job is the way forward. So in my opinion, we need to think about preparing for the world ahead, hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
Thank you.
Thank you.